guys, it's Nick from Kicking Goals, and in this video today I'm going to review my round 20 footy tips, and I'm also going to do my round 21 footy tips. So let's get underway. So in the lead in my footy tipping comp, I'm still in the lead, and the person who got the most tips of the week is Sammy GFC with 8 out of 9. So well done, Sammy, for getting 8 out of 9 in the tips this week. So let's just move on to this week's matches, starting from the Friday night game. Well, there's two Friday night games for some reason. I don't know why, but anyway, the first game is between Western Bulldogs versus Melbourne. The Western Bulldogs, they've been playing some really good football at the moment. They upset the Sydney Swans at the SCG, although the Swans have had a few injuries. Like, Adam Treloar has been good once again. He got 40 disposals and a goal, and he could be a chance for his first All-Australian. He's been really good this year. And with Melbourne, they were unlucky to only just lose against GWS. So I'm going to tip the Western Bulldogs, since they're in better form. I'm going to tip them to win by 17 points. So the second game of the week, the second Friday night game, is going to be between West Coast and Gold Coast. West Coast had another loss. Obviously, they were disappointing once again. They lost to Fremantle in the Western Derby. They played well for 2.5 quarters, but they just couldn't keep up for the whole game. And the Gold Coast, well, they lost their first home game for the season against Brisbane in the Q Clash. So I reckon Gold Coast will bounce back here, and I reckon they'll win by 25 points. So the third match this weekend is between North Melbourne and Richmond on the Saturday afternoon. North Melbourne coming off another loss, this time against Geelong, and Richmond coming off a 26-point loss against Collingwood, which they did all right, by considering they were down by like 50 something points, nearly 60 points down or something. So credit to Richmond for not giving up in that contest. Like, I was at that game with Studi, and like, he obviously wasn't happy with the game, but because he's a Richmond supporter. But yeah, North Melbourne, they have been promising, but they just haven't been getting the wins. And Richmond, like, they haven't been getting the wins either, so this will be a good game. But I'm leaning towards the Tigers, so I'm going to tip Richmond to win by 4 points in a close one. So the fourth match is between Geelong and Adelaide. Geelong had a comfortable 40-point win over North. Like, Tyson Stengel and Dempsey played really well on the weekend. Dempsey could be a great chance of winning the Rising Star. I didn't watch the game, but I could see that Geelong had trouble earlier in the game, and they weren't really winning by that much, but they got away in the second half and they put the pedal down then. Jeremy Cameron, well, he is out of form a bit. He only kicked the one goal, one or two goals, I can't remember, but yeah, he needs to find some form if he wants to stay at the club. But yeah, Geelong have been getting back into some form now, and with Adelaide, well, they just couldn't beat Hawthorn, and they didn't show up against Hawthorn. And Tex Walker, I wonder what his future holds for next year. If he's going to stay at the Crows or retire or even go to Collingwood or something. There's a bit of talk that he could be going to Collingwood maybe. Who knows? But I'm going to tip Geelong here by 50 points. I reckon they'll be too strong. I reckon Tom Hawkins is coming back this week. Now, the next match is between Collingwood and Carlton. Collingwood had a easy win over Richmond. That's their first win in like 4 weeks or something. Nick Dacos was brilliant with 42 touches. You know, Scott Pendlebury was good as well with 22 disposals and a goal. Although he got subbed out in the third quarter because they didn't want to risk him because he'll be playing his 400th game this week. He's been a real champion for Collingwood, even though I'm not a Collingwood supporter and I don't like Collingwood that much. But my favourite player from Collingwood is Scott Pendlebury, so he has had a really good career and he is playing on next year, which is really good for a 20th season. So good on Pendlebury. Um, Josh Dacos played well as well. Um, yeah, and with Carlton, well, I was really disappointed last week because I was at the game, obviously, with Studi. The match day vlog will be out within the next couple of days. Um, I was disappointed when we choked a 31-point lead. Charlie Curnow was good up until half time. In the second half, it was quiet. I thought Wiedering and McGovern were good for us. They were our best players, but and the other players were like really average. Like Cripps and Walsh were really quiet in the second half and kept on making mistakes, and Port Adelaide ran all over us. That's why we only kicked the one goal in the second half. We were good in the second quarter when we kicked 7 goals, but Port Adelaide just ran all over us in the second half. I don't know what happened, but I'm going to tip Carlton here. Like, we're the favourites, but we really need to bounce back here if we want to keep our top four hopes alive. I'm going to tip us to win by 45 points. So, the sixth game of the weekend is going to be between Port Adelaide and Sydney at the Adelaide Oval. Another good game. Port Adelaide came off an impressive win against Carlton. Um, Georgiades was good. Regulier was good as well. Lord was good. Yeah, just to name a few. Sydney, they had a shock loss against the Western Bulldogs. They've got a few injuries, so it's understandable. The top spot hopes is in jeopardy at the moment. Like, they're still on top, but they're sliding down. I think they're only one wing above teams on the ladder now. Like, they're no guarantee of finishing on top now because Papley's out injured. Sam Reid announced his retirement during the week. Um, and there's a few other injuries as well. So Sydney are in a bit of strife at the moment, but I'm leaning it towards Port Adelaide this week, and I'm going to tip them to win by 7 points. I reckon Port Adelaide will get the chocolates done against Sydney. Now the next game is between GWS and Hawthorn. Both teams had impressive wins on the weekend. GWS beat Melbourne by under a goal. Like, they almost lost it in the end because they were up by as much as 20 something points after Melbourne were up by 20 something points. But yeah, it was a good game. I didn't watch hardly any of it. I only watched like the last 5 minutes of the game because I was out at a party with some mates, and yeah, it was a good win by the Giants. Um, and with Hawthorn, they had a really good win against the Crows. I watched the second half of that game after I got home from the Richmond Collingwood game. Yeah, I just could see James Sicily was good. Jack Giverman was good as well. McDonald was good. Nick Watson was all right. Luke Bruce got subbed out, but they didn't want to take the chance of him playing when the Hawks were up by like 60 something points when there's one quarter to go. So that was a smart choice because they'll need him for um, weeks to come. Yeah, Hawthorn have got a really bright future, but I'm leaning towards the GWS this week. and I'm going to tip GWS to win by 11 points. Now, the second last game of the week is between Essendon and Fremantle at the MCG. Essendon, they had a 50-something point loss against St Kilda. I was at that game with Studi. I met up with a few other YouTubers like Carman22, Scoops, Geordie Pluto, Sammy GFC, Will Arnott, um, and a few other people. It was a good day, but Essendon, that they weren't switched on, like especially in the second half. St Kilda were all over them. They got smashed everywhere, and they didn't deserve to win either. Fremantle, well, they had a comfortable win in the end against West Coast, their rivals, to get revenge from earlier in the year to win in the Western Derby, and they're in the top four now. So I'm going to tip Fremantle here because they're in better form at the moment, and I'm going to tip them to win by 24 points. And the final game of the weekend is between St Kilda and Brisbane. St Kilda had an impressive 50-point win over Essendon. Like, Jack Steele was good, and they were just dominating everywhere. St Kilda. Tim Memory was good again. He kicked a couple goals, including one from the pocket. Officer Memory, as Jason Collectibles would say. And with Brisbane, they had a comfortable win over the Gold Coast Suns in the Q Clash, and they gave Gold Coast their first loss at home for the season. And Brisbane, they're up to second on the ladder now after losing their first four matches of the season. But yeah, they're clearly back to their best now, and I don't see them losing this game either. So I'm going to tip Brisbane to win by 16 points. But St Kilda will put on a good fight because they've had a good month, St Kilda, winning 3 out of 4 games, including two big wins over West Coast and Essendon. But Brisbane will win this game. So thank you all for watching this video, guys. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Catch you guys.